Hey guys, what's up? It's Luscious here at Hound Comics. We're doing our grand opening for the store here, and with me is famous. You do drawings? Is this what I hear? Right, a gentleman.
Occasionally, a couple of drawings. Occasionally, I've done drawings. Yeah.
Mr. Ken Kelly. Now, tell us. A lot of people know you for doing Conan the Barbarian, doing Kiss. What else have you done? What's something that you want people to also remember that you've done? You know, not just those two names.
I've done more toys than most any other artist. LJN, Dungeons and Dragons, Mego, things like that. I've also done 23 covers for Dark Horse Comics for Lucas Licensing, which was 2 series of Star Wars covers. And George Lucas owns 18 of those, so I would like people to know that. It seems like if once you get involved with Kiss, everything else becomes a shadow. But there's many things I've done.
Yeah, Kiss is it's a big thing, but then so is Lucas.
I would think it's huge, but that's nice. But that's Kiss. Excuse me.
Now, when it comes to the stuff that you've illustrated and done, what do you like to do? Where does your heart like to? What does your heart like to illustrate?
Wow, that's a good question because I've done so many different things. I would imagine Conan, back to my roots with just very aggressive characters, put in impossible situations, and in a real world they'd never get out of it. But that's what we do with fantasy illustration. It forces you to pick up the book, to read it, to find out how does he get out of this? How does he solve this? And I had a lot of fun creating those covers. So Conan, I would say go back to Conan.
Is there anything you ever illustrated that you were like, why am I doing this? Anything that you questioned where you're like, this is just a weird request?
Oh, there's been a few. There's been some things you can't even talk about, but weird requests, I can't imagine. Weird. Unusual is in the toys, where the racetrack covers where you have just tracks and cars on them and things like that. That's not really my forte, but the dollars were good, so I took it. I did it well, but that was strictly commercial, whereas a lot of the D&D and other covers I did for toys was fun because they were really crazy characters, and it was fun to illustrate. If you're painting and you're a painter and you're working in light and shade, you're just having fun painting. It doesn't matter. Everyone told me about Red Nails, one of the Conans I did, where he's just cut off a guy's head with a knife and he's standing there screaming into the sky about it. And they all thought, what's your emotional understanding of what you were doing? And I was like, well, to be perfectly honest, I was painting this picture. I had the figure in there and I had nothing in his hands. I had the figure screaming back with both hands, and I said, well, this has to make sense. And it was a last moment thought to put the head and the knife in, and that's what everybody picks up. But I was mostly thinking about light and shade and aggressive behavior. So sometimes you're in an abstract world when you're painting.
See, it's funny because something like that, I don't see why they would ask that, because, I mean, my thought there would just be, I am victorious.
That's what they think, but it just depends on the subject matter. If it's an aggressive cover you want, it has to absolutely be a badass killer guy, and he has to. It's got to make. My job is to make the public pick up the product I'm trying to sell, no matter what it is: a toy, a book, a record. There's thousands of artists on that cover. On the shelves that are selling books, and it's my job to make my art look different enough and aggressive enough where they would pick that up and say, this I have to take home. That's my job. Then it's up to you guys, whatever you sell is ever inside it, to make them come back.
Yeah, you make it look good. You make them judge the book by the cover, and then it's their job to make what's inside worth reading still.
I've had assignments. I worked for publishers for 20 years. And I had assignments where the books were absolute nonsense. And I'm sorry, they were nonsense. They were, especially, I'm not a high fantasy guy where you go into magic and just I'm not a high fantasy guy. And I would get occasionally a high fantasy cover to do. and it was murder. It was torture because there was no aggressive character, no lead character. It was just a group of these individuals. And it was a good story if you're into that stuff, but it wasn't me. So that would be something difficult for me to, murder.
Yeah, I can understand that. You're just kind of, you're going to have it, just pull it from wherever you can pull it in your mind to make it work.
You look for the whole story. You read the whole story cover to cover, and you're looking for that one. And I've done it. I've had editors tell their art directors and the publishers to watch out for Ken Kelly because he'll give away the ending of a book. But that's the only aggressive scene. They would be pussyfooting it along for the whole story, and right at the end they have this big battle scene. I'm like, there's my scene. And I got away with it for about 2 years, and then they caught on that I was what I was illustrating was actually the climax of the whole book. So I was like. Then they used to say, watch out for Kelly. He gives away the ending. So
Yeah, it's not your fault. You're working with what you got.
I didn't care they wouldn't know it's the ending until they read the book. So that was my thought.
Very true.
That's my thought. Until you don't know it's the ending. I mean, when you see trailers for movies, a lot of times you're seeing an ending scene. You don't know it until you've seen it. And then you go back and see the trailer again after you saw the movie. Oh, that's the end.
Unless it's like the Titanic where, they're floating in water. It's a little obvious.
You can't give it Yep. Well, if it's something that obvious, I'll have to let it go. And then you're going to have a really lousy cover because it's going to be some Daisy staring at gold in a cave or something. And who wants to come back to that?
And as far as what you've done, is there anything that you haven't done or a character that you've never been approached or something that you want to do that you've seen out there?
I can't think of any offhand. I don't think of things like that. I just, I'm very busy. I'm a very lucky man as far as professionally. I've had a lot of good fortune in art, good subject matters, good experiences. And, of course, you always look for something new, but there's so much young talent out there, and just looking at you guys and what you do is, it's all great to see. I guess, no, I have no desire specifically one thing, but just to be able to keep doing it.
Now, you did Dungeons and Dragons, so this question is really going to be coming more for the geeks. I know you're not a high fantasy person, but if you were going to be in the Dungeons and Dragons world, what would you want to be? Wizard, troll, dragon, knight, mage, whatever what would you want to be?
To me, that's an easy one. The wizard. He has the most power. He has the most control over the situation. He could change things if he wants. The knight's always fighting. Hell, that's a rough life. The maids and all, screw that. That's I don't need any of that. But I'd think the wizard, where I could just make something happen just the way I wanted it to happen, and that sounds like fun.
We'll have to get you a wizard hat then.
I don't know about the wizard hat. See, that would be a nice painting. A wizard in his whatever you call it, laboratory or whatever, with his books in front of him, and he's conjuring up a stew, and maybe he's got some. You could make it. You could make it horror. You could make it anything. You could have parts of bodies next to him, and he's just having fun with it, and he's all excited. See, I just saw a picture right there. There's a cover right there.
We're gonna hold off on that one and see if anyone comes for it.
Okay.
We're putting it out there, so if you like the idea, you know where to come get it made.
I know I have enough on my plate already, so I'm fine. It's just as you said it. It was just like it just bang. It just formed in my head, and it was just like, wow, that would be a good cover. And
then also, you're known a lot for doing Kiss. Now, where does your music taste stand? Because I know, just because you work somewhere doesn't necessarily mean you do like it. I'm not saying. I mean, I am a big Kiss fan. I was going to say fan of Kiss, but where do your music tastes lie?
I'm more of a traditionalist. I like Kiss. I've been to their concerts. They are a unique experience as far as music goes, both their stage show and their music. I'm more of Eagles. There's also lots of new talent too, but I'm like Eagles and Elton John and my God,
I'm a Tom Jones person myself.
Tom Jones is fine. Tom Jones. It's all the traditional artists that Rolling Stones, Fleetwood Mac, my world, they were songs. They told a story. They had good melody, good voices, and not to belittle Kiss. They're great. Just that they're more heavy metal rock, slamming, and I that never did it for me. It never did. Maybe if I'm on the road traveling at 90 miles an hour and that you need some adrenaline pump, then you get that going. But I just like stories. So the music that has stories in it, I lean towards that. Story of my life. What's that? One Direction just put it out. New groups. You have Pink that has Give Me a Reason, Say Something. All of these new. They're really great music. You know, good stuff. So let it tell a story.
Go somewhere with the song, right? Don't just sing it. Tell me something.
Even the Rolling Stones, as pronounced and defined as they were with their aggressive style of music, told a story. Most of the time, they stood Under My Thumb. You didn't like what you heard as far as his control over the woman in his life, but it told a story. So, and a lot of the Beatles stuff, it was a lovey-dovey, but it told a story. So, I'm a big story guy. Tell me a story. Don't just idle noise. Not that Kiss is idle noise.
No, they have their stories here and there.
They do. Rock and roll over and over, and yes, they do. Yes, they do. It's just that the heavy slam of the music. It's always it's dedicated to the loudness of the music that sometimes gets in the way of. I missed what they were saying, so you never missed a word of what Elton John was saying ever. So.
Yeah, I definitely get you there. Going back to the art,
Okay.
where does your influences lie? What made you want to be? Who do you look at? Who is like anyone that you wish your art was like?
Not like, it's, I had unusual circumstances. I've always had art in my life. I did well in school with art. I never quite took it seriously, and I had an art teacher that used to go to a local college out here on Long Island, and get work from the college, brought it to me in high school. I would do it. She would take it back. I'd get paid for it, bring me a check, and show me that, Kelly, you could make money at it. And I'd still, like, what are you, crazy? I'm not quite interested in this yet. So it took me to get out of the military and then find out I had no aptitude for anything else on earth. And I said, you know something? You better think about this art. Now, luckily, my uncle is Frazetta. He's not blood. His wife Ellie, her maiden name is Kelly. His wife is my aunt, cousin aunt. I don't know how to do that, but so they've always been in my family, but they were my father's friends. So they were always a house, and I knew Frazetta was an artist, but at that time he was doing Al Cap, and it was all the early years. So I wasn't too impressed. I was impressed with his art all the time, but his position in life, they were poor. So I'm like, well, that's not the answer. But then when I got out of the service and he said he'd help me, and by helping, he mainly meant set me in directions, which was good. And that pretty much gave me the direction of my life. And then when you start making money in it, you start to like it a little more, and then you make more money. And I guess I'm just a hound for the dollar. But, you know.
It's not always a bad thing. People can take it bad, but
no. As far as other influence, artistic influence, Frazetta was the strongest, obviously because he was the closest and easiest to get to. Rembrandt, Rockwell, Leyendecker, Michelangelo, Salvatore Dali, current artists, Hal Forster, Garth, whatever his name is. They were there, but Rembrandt and I would say Rockwell were the most. Rockwell was a tremendous draftsman. He could put these complicated covers together, and I just loved tearing them apart and figuring out how he did it. And but he used photographs, so he would lay it out one way and then use photographs to finish it. Where Rembrandt just sat in front of a window and just created a portrait of himself that was just through the roof. So they're different things, but those would be my influences.
Then also I was wondering, how do you feel, because I think some people do view, especially the style that you do is very in between. It's got that very, like you said, Rembrandt, you mentioned some of those masters. but you're also doing it in the modern age, and you're kind of a bridge in between both worlds. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that?
It's a deliberate. I tried desperately to get away from Frazetta, which is one of the hardest things on earth you can do, because he has such tremendous influence over people artistically. If he does an arm one way, you're going to do it that way, and to pull away, which I am still trying to do, but I'm halfway between real and comic, and it works professionally because there's a lot of comic-oriented subject matter, with both in toys and music and in novels, and where they want real, but they also want that fantasy comic element, and that's where my style basically is, and I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with it.